LGBT workers in the US are rejoicing today after a landmark ruling from the Supreme Court, which essentially enshrines their rights in a sexual discrimination law. The New York Times editors call it an emphatic win for civil rights, equal justice, and common sense. The paper does warn caution, though. The wording of the ruling means that employers could justify their discrimination based on religious convictions. But for now, it should be savored, this victory, the New York Times says. The conservative news magazine The National Review, meanwhile, laments what it calls the extreme modification of the 1964 law. The paper also wondering today whether employers could face accusations of workplace harassment for holding, quote, conventional opinions about marriage and human biology. Here in France, the papers are still focused on Emmanuel Macron's comments from Sunday that French employees will need to work more to help turn around the economy after the lockdown. The words actually echoing calls made by former French President Nicolas Sarkozy some years ago. It's the reason why the left-wing paper Libération has a rather wry front page today. It's morphed Macron and Sarkozy's faces together, with the headline there, Macron brings Sarkozy out of lockdown. Staying in France, where the Climbing Federation is in mourning after the shock death of its teen prodigy Luce Douady, the 16-year-old world junior champion fell to her death while climbing with friends in Grenoble on the weekend. She was seen as a rising star in the sport, which enters the Olympics next year. Luce Douady had hoped to qualify for Paris 2024. Finally, a US study has shown that hummingbirds can see colors that are invisible to the human eye. Humans are trichromatic, which means we mainly see shades of red, green, and blue, but birds are tetrachromatic, which means they can discern more shades of the UV spectrum. The findings are really interesting in understanding why color vision is so important to animals in the wild in helping them fend off predators, but also find a mate. You can read all about that in the National Geographic.